Last summer, I went into London and did a brilliant walk around Kensington Gardens and Hyde Park, discovering lots of wonderful history and nature along the banks of the Serpentine. My first stop was the Italian Gardens. In 1860, Prince Albert commissioned these gardens to be created for his true love, Queen Victoria, who lived nearby at Kensington Palace. They were designed in the style of Osborne House on the Isle of Wight, one of the Queen's favourite residences. From the beautiful Victorian ornate pump house to the urns that adorn the fountains, there is a rich Victorian and Italian classical architecture to be found here. And it's a very peaceful place to sit and chat with friends or have a picnic. The water features are a really calming and relaxing feature as well. The water lilies, the lush greenery and the flowers make it a very pleasant place to just sit and reflect. And for many, it is an oasis of calm in a busy, bustling city. I definitely want to come back here and make another video on Kensington Palace and the surrounding gardens, because there was so much to see here and not enough time to do it on a Sunday afternoon in one go. Plus, I was doing this walk on a budget and these gardens are free to walk around. But I'll certainly be planning another walk here in 2025 to look at all the things that I missed this time around. There are always some little clues to history to be found as you're walking around, and here I found 1866 on this stone for the fountain, which is at the top of the Italian Gardens looking down onto the Long Walk. The urns and the statues of Mercury and Venus and other Roman goddesses make this a real Italian feature of the garden, and it really is beautiful. We're looking down upon the Long Water from this point. So if you're visiting London, then make sure you take a walk around the Italian Gardens and see everything there is to see here. You will definitely find some very interesting history and lots of nature whilst on your walk. On your way to the Long Walk, you pass by the statue of Peter Pan. This was donated by J.M. Barrie, the author, who spent a lot of time in Kensington Gardens. And this is a very popular spot for photographs, as well as spotting lots of nature like butterflies and birds. I stopped here for a sit down and a rest, and it was wonderful looking at all the nature on the Long Water and the Serpentine. This place is a real haven for conservation and wildlife preservation. There are swans, ducks and geese aplenty. And I could have sat here all day watching the birds. There's also a little bit of macabre literary history to be learned here. Just before the poet Percy Shelley married Mary Godwin of Frankenstein fame, his former wife took her life here in the Serpentine, leaving just a note for her family. Just 2 weeks later, Percy Shelley married Mary, and they became a literary power couple in Victorian times. If you stroll along the Long Walk towards the Serpentine and the Lido, you will also come across sculpture and art. From here on the bank opposite, you can see the sculpture called the Arch, which was made by Henry Moore. It was originally created for an exhibition in the Serpentine Art Gallery, and the sculpture was inspired by a piece of bone and natural history. It was replaced after restoration here in its original site because Moore liked the reflections that the arch gave across the Serpentine. There is so much art, history, nature and culture to see here. You really do need to spend a good afternoon walking around. And if, like me, you need to sit down fairly often, then I would at least give it 4 hours to walk around this part of Hyde Park and Kensington Gardens. There is also the Princess Diana Memorial Fountain to see on this stretch of the walk, and I've done another video on that. So for now, let's have a look at the Serpentine Bridge. And if you peek through the arches here, you can just about see the blue pedalows. In this stretch of the Serpentine, you can rent out rowboats or electric blue pedalos, which mean that anybody with any ability can go out on the Serpentine and enjoy the views from the water. In the summer, there is a solar-powered ferry which ferries passengers from each side of the Serpentine. Whether it's spring, summer or autumn when you visit, this is a great way to look at Hyde Park, Kensington Gardens and experience life on the Serpentine. There are plenty of restaurants here too if you want to stop for something to eat. And in my next video I'll be exploring the Lansbury Lido and telling you some of the history behind that area of the Serpentine. So stay tuned and thank you for watching, and please join me for more walks and talks with Grandma in London and Essex very soon.